Live from Town Square Towers at the heart of the Jersey Shore. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Get up, get out, do something. Join the conversation. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. 6:09 Thursday, October 20th, 65 degrees, getting up to 72 today. WOBMAM 1160 and 1310. News Talk Radio. Streaming live on the radio pop app at WOBMAM.com. 732-505-1160. Join the conversation. We are now joined in the studio by Denise Van Tassell. We are talking Alcoeur Gardens, right? And so, first of all, good morning, Denise. How are you?
Good morning.
All right, and I know when people hear Alcoeur Gardens, the first thing they're thinking of is, oh, that's great. So what do they have? They have like mums and carnate. I mean, what do you grow at Alcoeur Gardens exactly?
Love.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. So why don't you give people the overview? What is Alcoeur Gardens all about?
Alcoeur Gardens, we're small assisted livings in Ocean County, and we cater to Alzheimer's patients. We have 2 locations, Toms River and Brick, and we're very small, home-like, 19 beds, very comforting for the families, very small environment.
Okay. And so when you say care, what does that entail? You know what I mean? Like what does the day-to-day look like?
Well, we're like any traditional assisted living, only we're more personal and we're smaller. We provide 24-hour care. That includes all your meals, your activities, medication management, physician oversight, anything that they would get at home with their family. Only they're in our home now.
Okay, well that's a nice way to put it. So how did this become something that you got involved with?
Well, I'm a registered nurse.
Okay.
And I've worked over the years in the hospital with patients suffering from different types of dementia. And I did work in nursing homes, traditional long-term care type nursing homes. And I just saw the need for something smaller and more personal for them, provide a little bit better care.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you'd been a nurse,
Yes.
and you had a passion for this, and you realized there was a niche. Did you realize there was something missing in the market? I mean, that you just you didn't feel like the quality that availed itself was there. Is that?
Yeah. Well, I worked in the hospitals for many years, and I just fell in love with the geriatric population. Always did. My grandmother was my best friend. We played cards, drank beer, went to the track, and had a great life with my grandma. So when I went into nursing, he's laughing.
Yeah. No, I'm laughing because I'll tell you why I'm laughing before you continue. Because when I think of my grandmother, right, who I had a really great relationship with, but those were during my I'm going to say most of those were from like when I was 8 to 14. Right. And so now I'm thinking about drinking beer and going to the track. And I'm like, so that's where my mind went. I'm like, no, we didn't do that. We did play cards and we ate pizza.
Right.
So anyway, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, and we did. We had a great life.
Right.
So I really fell in love with the senior population. And when I worked in the hospital, this is many years ago, Alzheimer's really wasn't that well known or prominent until Reagan. In my opinion, and I think a lot of people.
Our first ever president that actually
had
Alzheimer's.
Or admitted to having Alzheimer's.
Yes.
And
while in the last few years of office.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, that's why it was prosperous. His wife was running the country all those years.
Right. Wow, it's funny how history repeats itself sometimes, huh?
Yes.
Anyway, go ahead.
So I wound up going into long-term care for several years, running nursing homes. Assisted living came out in the late 90s, mid-90s. I started working with assisted living companies, and I just saw a need for something more personal for them. So I started Alcoeur about 14 years ago, my first building in Monmouth County, and I just grew from there, into 5 buildings, and it's just been really rewarding.
Right.
It's just something, my daughters are both nurses, and they helped me grow the business from the ground up. And my dad works for me. He's the bartender, the bingo caller. He does the marketing events at the senior show. So my family's very involved with it, and we all enjoy it.
Now, how does that work? What kind of dynamic is that like, having your dad work for you?
Oh, he's really cool.
Is he?
Yeah, I take him to bingo twice a week, and he does all the bingo shows.
But you haven't had to like write him up or hold him accountable, really. in a big way.
No, and he's free.
Well, so
That's the best part.
There you go. So you get what you pay for at some levels, but that's really awesome. Very, very cool. And your daughters work there, or they're out on their own and they just help?
They work for me per diem.
Okay.
One of my girls works for a competitor, which is fine. As
Really?
a director, she does.
The black sheep of the family.
No,
huh?
no. She actually worked for me when she was 18 through college, through
Okay.
nursing school. She ran my business. She was a young kid. And it's nice because when you work for somebody else, you have to be on time.
Right.
You know, there's certain rules.
Right.
And when you're with mom, it's a little different. But she's grown into the role now. So she will be joining me again. She's having my 6th grandchild.
Oh my goodness.
In February, so I want them home having babies for a while now.
All right. Well, look, it sounds like you personally have that all figured out.
Yes, I do.
So that's pretty cool, and it's always cool to hear, about a truly kind of family operation. Something kind of near and dear to my heart currently, because my dad and I, in particular, work very closely together right now, and I know that there are inherent challenges in that, and yet
Yes.
there are also it could also be pretty rewarding, and
It is.
it certainly beats the alternative, right? Which is to not spend time with. So on that note, right, we're going to take a break. But what I'd like to talk about is I'd really like for us to dive into the size of the prize, as it were, which is the number of folks that have Alzheimer's, that have dementia, I want to talk maybe a little bit about some of the denial that comes along with that, and I want to talk about the senior population in Ocean County and at the Jersey Shore in general. Is that okay?
Sure.
Denise Van Tassell, Alcoeur Gardens, Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin, back after this.
The Sean Hannity Show, this afternoon at 3. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin returns next. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Connect with Jeremy, 732-505-1160. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160, 1310, and WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. We are back with Denise Van Tassell. We are talking about Alcoeur Gardens, and we're also talking about Alzheimer's, dementia, our senior population. So you were giving me some statistics in the break. So why don't we talk a little bit about let's go from the top of the line, which is in New Jersey, right? Let's take New Jersey.
Right.
So how many seniors did we say there were in New Jersey or thereabouts?
Diagnosed about 170,000.
Right. So 170,000 diagnosed with Alzheimer's, right?
Correct.
There are, and you said that's 1 in 9.
Over age 65, 1 in 9 people have Alzheimer's.
Okay, which says to you that there's 1.7 or so million seniors in New Jersey, let's say, or over 65.
Right.
So there's the 170, and that's just diagnosed.
Correct.
Right. In Ocean County, we have what do you say, 200 plus
200 plus
right.
1,000 seniors.
Meaning that there are there's got to be 18,000.
I would say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And what are their alternatives? Where do they end up, if anywhere?
Well, a lot of them stay home until end of life. It depends if they've been diagnosed. Some people go on for years and years. We were just talking about this. If you have the children are no longer living there, so if it's the father or the mother that winds up with the disease, the other person usually compensates, for their diminishing abilities, where they'll keep it from the children and they'll help the person hide it, in other words. So it depends on how long they do that and how much they can take. They get a caregiver burnout rate that's really amazing. And what I see in my patients, my residents, is that by the time they get to me, the caregiver is so burnt out that they've become sick. The person
Right.
with the dementia sometimes physiologically they're okay, and medically it's only the dementia until, of course, it progresses, and then it takes the whole body, it consumes it. But the caregiver is the one that's really stressed out, and they get sick. So it's really it's a very difficult disease to manage. Right. It's very hard.
And a
very
vicious
hard.
cycle there, right?
It's a very vicious cycle. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's really, really tough. And so, I guess what I find interesting, and I say interesting, and that's probably the wrong word for it. Is there, in what you do, is there a rewarding piece? Like, is there, and let me preface it. Let me premise it differently. In a lot of environments that deal in healthcare, you as a nurse, you certainly understand this. There are positive outcomes. They're not always positive outcomes,
Right.
but there are those feel-good stories that you say, this was really good. What does a feel-good story look like with an Alzheimer's patient? Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And one of the biggest challenges, and I will say this, there are a lot of rewarding moments. I have wonderful staff in both the buildings, and they make it very easy. And when people come in, I have people that'll visit, they'll go out and they'll say, how do they do that all day? So it really takes a special kind of person to be able to care for someone with this disease. Right. One of the things that happens when they first come is they need to acclimate to our surroundings. So for the first few days, there are lots of times, most times a challenge, sometimes even a week.
Right.
But when it becomes really rewarding is when you see the nurses and the caregivers take care of them, and a week after they come in, they're a different person.
Right.
They're home. I have daughters that bring their moms in, and that's another whole area of the guilt factor when people drop them off forever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guilt behind that. And it always turns out really great because what happens is they bring them in, and they'll say something like, my mom was never social. She's not going to play bingo. She's not going to go to activities. And then a week later, even with the dementia, because, dementia doesn't mean that they don't have the ability to live and enjoy life.
Right.
A week later, the daughter will come and the mom will say, I can't talk to you now. I have bingo. We're going in to play bingo. And the children just stand there in shock that happens.
Right.
But, we are humans and we are meant to acclimate to our surroundings.
Right.
And they do. And then it becomes fun. And then when they feel like it's their home, you see a real part of their personality. And it's like anything. A lot of them are funny.
Right.
I mean, we have a blast during the day. We laugh.
Right.
It's fun.
And so correct me if I'm wrong, but the dementia, it changes. It literally kind of changes your brain.
Yes.
Right. So somebody who may have been very serious, very not fun in their chunk of their regular non-dementia life may get there, and all of a sudden they may be someone who never ate desserts, right? And then all of a sudden they love ice cream.
Yes.
Right? I mean, that happens.
It happens. It does happen. I don't think the personality takes on a really drastic change until the end, where they really just stop functioning at all. But I have ladies that were very prim and proper in their life, and they'll flip some nice words around, and the family just stands there in shock. My mother didn't just say that, so it does happen.
All right, Denise Van Tassell. When we come back, we're going to give you your magic wand.
Okay.
Right. I have some ideas of what that might look like, and we'll talk more about Alcoeur Gardens, and you can give some contact information and where people could kind of learn more. So, wake up with Jeremy Grunin. It's the news. It's us. See you in a few minutes.
Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Live from the Jersey Shore to the world. Get up, get out, do something. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Take the show wherever you go. Download the free Radio Pup app for your smartphone or tablet. Join the conversation. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. 6:33, Thursday, October 20th, 65 degrees, getting up to 72 today. WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. News Talk Radio. Streaming live on the Radio Pup app and WOBMAM.com. 732-505-1160 to join our conversation. We are joined in studio by Denise Van Tassell. We are talking about Alcoeur Gardens and about dementia/Alzheimer's. So, all right, so you called me out in the break, and you're like, Jeremy, you didn't ask me the one question everybody else asked me. And I'm like, what's that? And you're like, well, what does Alcoeur mean? And you're right. I should have asked that because it never even crossed my mind because I'm not a good interviewer. So what does Alcoeur mean? Go ahead. How did you come up with the name?
Alcoeur is a French word from the heart. And my mom was French and American Indian. And it's a word that I always loved. I thought it was a nice word, and I took it. So it means from the heart, because that's what we do. We give care from the heart.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. And I think we wanted to also stress that you were talking about that, obviously you have your own facility and you have beds and the whole nine, but it's more than that really. It's really the resource piece. So why don't you talk a second about that?
Well, lots of times we'll get calls from families that are in crisis, and they're not ready or not interested in placing their loved one. And our job at that point is to gear them in the right direction. Sometimes they just need an ear. They need someone just to listen, which makes them feel better. We also have support groups once a month in the Toms River building.
Right.
So I think that's really important for people out in the community that don't place their loved ones where the loved one is home. Kind of gives them a break. And, it's like any type of support group. When you have somebody that's experiencing the same problem or is having the same situation at the time, it makes you feel a little better that you're not alone in this, because when you get depressed and you get stressed, you feel it's only you, and it really isn't. And there's a lot of support out there. There's a lot of organizations. The Alzheimer's Association, which actually just branched off from the national branch, has their own New Jersey branch,
right.
Great resources. So we just really try to help the families and guide them in the right direction.
Very cool. All right, Denise, it's that time. Right, it's where we give you the magic wand, the pixie dust, the fairy dust, the ability just to wiggle your nose and make an impact, make something happen. So, talk to me, Denise Van Tassell, Alcoeur Gardens from the heart. What are you doing with the magic wand?
I would say that I would like to see every senior get tested,
right,
at an early age. I would like to see every family member whose loved one suffers from Alzheimer's go and get tested and maybe diagnose it earlier so they have a better quality of life. And I think it's very important for the future for people to be diagnosed earlier so we can provide drugs, things, holistic things that can help. And if you don't know you have it, you're not going to act upon it. So, until it's too late, lots of times. So, I think testing for me would probably be that our insurance companies, I know that's a joke, but eventually would have that in your, in your testing, in your physical, to have a test. Just even a mini mental, which is non-invasive, 30 questions.
Right.
When you hit 55, 60 years old, you should automatically have that done. And then again every 5 years.
Right.
That's what I would like to say.
Well, that's fantastic. Why don't you...
We could start with you. After the segment, I can do one on you. 30 questions.
No, that's all right.
Okay.
I oh, boy. No, we're going to... Wow, look at the time. I can't believe we're getting up against it. So, Denise, what I'd like to do, though, is where could people reach you? Where's the contact information? Is there a Facebook page? Is there Twitter, Instagram?
Yes. We're all across the social media. We have a very nice website that we try to blog daily, with updated information. Do you want me to tell you the website?
That would be, I think.
Okay.
Listen, you can tell me the website, but I think it's really important that you tell our listeners
there
the
you
website,
go.
so we'll share it with them also. Go ahead.
Okay. It's www.alcoeurgardens.com. And I'm going to spell Alcoeur because it's a French word, so it's a little different.
Yeah.
It's ALCOEUR gardens.com. Go to our Facebook page, go to our website. Our phone number is also very cool. It's 732-290-CARE.
Wow.
You like that?
That's good.
Right?
That's good. Did you ask for it? That's what you asked for?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Because that's what we really provide.
Right.
I mean, that's really ultimately what we do is we provide care and love.
Right. Well, and I think that's all everywhere that you look relative to Alcoeur Gardens. It really is about kind of an intimate setting. It's not a huge industrial, like we have lots of beds and we kind of roll through them, and that's not like that at all. It's a personal touch, and you made mention of it earlier, which is this is one of the most difficult things, actually for a caregiver to do is to say, listen, I'm dropping mom or dad off because I just can't anymore. I can't do it. I don't have enough resources. I don't have whatever. And that's that guilt and that you failed on some level, or that you're putting them away. And so having that kind of an environment to take, your loved one to is so important, so critical to everyone's well-being. So
I want to mention one other
ahead.
thing is that, and we provide 2 other services. We provide a respite program. So if we have a bed available, we allow families to maybe drop them off for 3 or 4 days so they can get a break, go on vacation. We have some families that they bring their loved one a week a month just to give the caregiver, that stress release. And we also can provide daycare. So they can drop their loved one off in the morning at 8 o'clock, pick them up 4 in the afternoon. We provide meals, medication management. So that lots of times gives the caregiver a break too, especially the spouse.
Right.
A couple hours a day is nice to just get a little bit of, because it is a 24/7 job when you're taking care of someone with that type of disease.
Right. Wow, that's fantastic. And again, Denise, it's really great to, we love when folks, kind of see a need and or see see an opportunity to help the community, and they go and do it, and they go and create something that makes it a better place. And the fact that you have your whole family involved is pretty cool. And really just my hat's off to you for doing a great job and the work that you're doing every day.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
So listen, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. We'll be back with more after this.